Welcome, Cancer. Thank you for joining me on my channel. Thank you for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing. I hope you enjoy the general insights here. Please take what works for you. It may also apply to someone you are close to at this time. If you have strong influences in your birth chart associated with another sign, please feel free to cross-watch for further insights. I have shuffled and laid out the cards. I use the 12 houses of the zodiac. So as the cards are appearing in each house, then those are the influences that are coming to bear at this time. So in the first house, we have Neptune, which is sacrifice. I think what this is asking you to do is to examine certain aspects of how you are projecting yourself at this time, because the first house is everything to do with the self, your appearance, your first impressions to others, your self-oriented interests, your physical body, and the characteristics that other people actually see. So now it's basically your mask, what you're projecting to others at all times. So now with Neptune appearing in this house, basically it's asking you to just be a little bit careful with that you're not under some illusion or another, or some kind of almost like rose-tinted spectacles, or it could just be under some illusions about yourself, negative or positive, however you perceive it. It could also be that you're not seeing others clearly, or their perceptions of you. Again, that can be one way or the other. So you could be seeing friends as people that aren't are sort of like enemies, and enemies that you are seeing as friends. It can be that kind of flip-flop sort of illusionary aspect which is coming up for you at this time. It can also indicate a bit of victim consciousness. You may be, as I said, sort of self-sabotaging yourself in some way, or you're coming across like that to others. So you just need to examine perhaps your inner beliefs, and just see how you are, have a good be honest with yourself, and look at yourself in an honest and appreciative way, because how you are thinking others perceive you may not be correct at all at this time. Also with this, with Neptune, there are always the aspects of addiction coming in. So this could be just from your personal body point of view. You may be struggling with too much of something. So, bordering on addiction, or an addiction of some kind. It could be too much alcohol. It could be too much of something. Whatever it is, there's many types of addictions out there. It could also just be an addiction to drama, or an addiction to having a sort of a victim mentality, or thinking of yourself as less than you are. That's an addiction. Always thinking of yourself as less than you are is an addiction. So it could also be that you're suffering from allergies of some sort at this time. They may be coming to the surface. So yeah, it's a good time to look at yourself. You may be just feeling a bit vulnerable, but just be careful that you're not falling under some sort of perception that you are less than you are, or that that you are draining others because of the way you are projecting yourself at this time. So avoid self-sabotage. You may have to sacrifice your ego in some way, shape, or form for the greater good. Okay. The other side of this, which is a very positive element, is that you may be tapping into the imaginative and artistic side of Neptune. Beautiful, beautiful, almost divine aspect. You could be feeling extremely tuned into others at this time. There's a glamorous aspect to this as well. Some of you may be coming across to others as being very glamorous, very artistic, very imaginative, having very imaginative visions of, yourself out there in the world, or just have a very positive outlook on what it is you want to project to others. You could just be feeling, as I said, really quite tuned in as well. So those are the two sides of Neptune. It is very much that way, one way or the other, or a blend of both. But always try to be looking at the more positive aspect and aiming for that, harnessing that imaginative ability and the artistic ability of Neptune, because it is huge. It really is huge. Just as I said, be careful that you don't slip off into the other more negative aspects of that. Then in the second house, we have Saturn return, which is age. So the second house is everything to do with your income, your money, and it's to do with your values, what you own, your possessions, your ownership of things. It's also to do with your self-worth and your values. So now with Saturn return, age coming in there, this is about, because it's a return, it's basically having a much better understanding of where you are now in your life. It's also taking responsibility for your finances and for your goals. It's applying wisdom through experience. So what you've learned over the course of your life, you take what you can from that and you apply it. It's also about releasing what is no longer essential to you. So you may be trimming your finances, you may be changing things, you may be getting rid of certain things that you own that just you've outlived or just don't suit you anymore, or they were from a past life or an earlier era in your life, and you simply don't require them anymore. So you've outlived them. So therefore their usefulness is outlived. So don't allow yourself to get swamped in clutter. It's time now to have a thorough clean out and clear out what's not serving you anymore. Let go of illusions. So illusions is coming up again for you. Let go of illusions from the past. Perhaps you had different ambitions, you had different goals from the past, and those sorts of things are still hanging around, and you're now approaching a different aspect of your life. You're now approaching more more wisdom and understanding, and so therefore those things, you've outgrown them now. It could also be old issues coming around again, old things to do with money, or with your values or your self-worth, sort of something coming up again. The whole point of that is actually for you to handle it better this time around, because whatever wasn't handled previously, when the old issue comes back around again, it's another opportunity to do it properly. And it can sometimes be quite painful, because also it works the other way. What wasn't handled properly the first time may come back to haunt you again. So really, it's about gaining understanding through wisdom. Whatever wasn't built properly the first time round will come back again. It will probably sort of disintegrate, and you've now got to start again. Building, because Saturn always implores you to build solid foundations, to build solid things, so that you can achieve solid performance in whatever area. Because if something's not built solidly, then it will crumble at some point anyway, So it's about that. Also, it could also be something from your past, or some area of your life, even a year ago or whenever it was, that you just perceived it to be much better than it was. And now you look at it again, you realize actually it wasn't so good after all. It's about looking like that back at something. It could also be so it could be a money adventure that you went on, or some kind of something that you bought previously, and now you look at it and you think, wow, that just I haven't used it. It's not actually serving any purpose in my life. It's about getting realistic and seeing clearly about what you need to do, and trimming and clearing and making, really, sort of getting to grips with what is going to be real and valuable to you going forward. And achieving and setting solid foundations for your goals. That's really what this is going to be about. It's not a quick fix. Saturn is slow. And so whatever foundations or whatever goals that you are aiming for, you must build them solidly, and then slowly put the building blocks in place as you go along. Then in the third house, we have Jupiter return, which is benefits, very positive card. So the third house is everything to do with your communication, all sorts, whether that's verbal, written, body language. It's every kind of communication, and this can be with siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, or it can be with the wider public as well, just with others. It also covers contracts and documents of all kinds. So with Jupiter return, it implies again something's coming back from the past. So, but Jupiter always is about luck, and luck really is when preparation meets opportunity. So this could have been something that you were dealing with before. It never quite came off, or it never quite happened, or it was something that positive that you put in place before and just saw no results. You've probably forgotten about it, and now it comes back to you with benefits. So this could be something you said, something you wrote, something you communicated to somebody else. Because Jupiter is also about generosity. It's about kindness. So possibly you did something or said something to somebody some time ago, never thinking that it would come back for you in some way, in some beneficial way, and it may very well come to you like that. So just something that you put in place before, and now here it is, it's coming back. It could also have been a learning thing, or it could have been early education, something to do with your neighbors. It's based on communication of some sort. So words are important right now for you. You need to just think about what you say, what you put down in documents, and your contracts and so on. Perhaps it could even be a contract that you wanted or tried to get or tried to secure in the past, and it just didn't materialize for you. Well, it could be coming back for you now, and it's going to bring a benefit of some sort. So this card is also about reaping what you sow. So as I said, it's something positive that you said or enacted, some expression that you had before, and it will bring something positive back to you. This card also indicates the green light for something, so it's go, yes. And it's also about making progress with something. So the door is open for you now. This is about manifestation. So as I said, something from before which you really wanted to bring into your life, and suddenly all of a sudden there it is, or you now have the opportunity to fully manifest that in your life. It's very quick, Jupiter return. So if an opportunity comes to you, and you recognize it as being that, it could be, as I said, from the past or something that you were working on. Now all of a sudden it's coming through. You must grab it quickly, explore all the possibilities around it, because it won't be around for very long. So see it, harness it, and work with it. It could also be something to do with a gift. Perhaps somebody's going to gift you something. And it could involve also short trips, because the third house deals with short trips. So it could be a little trip somewhere that you wanted to go, something that you're going to enjoy, or it could be something that you win, because it's luck involved here. But it's a short trip of some sort, which will be very beneficial and which you're really going to enjoy. The only real negative of Jupiter at this time is don't overdo it, don't overdo things, or become overly confident. Or overly generous even. I suppose you can do that as well. So just receive and enjoy, be grateful and be happy. Just don't overdo things at this time. Then in the fourth house we have Aquarius, I know. So your fourth house is everything to do with your home life, what's going on in your home, and it's also to do with your ethnic identity, your roots, your foundation, where you rose from. So with Aquarius, I know coming in there, really what it's asking is, what is the vision that you have for your home or your home life? What is your vision? Because Aquarius is all about that. And so make sure that whatever it is that you envision for your home, however you want it to look, maybe perhaps you're doing some renovation, or you're wanting to purchase a new home, or you're changing home, or whatever. Just make sure it's practical, whatever you're going to bring into your life, because manifestation is strong right now. So whatever you're going to bring in, or whatever you want to change in your home to perhaps streamline it, make it more modern, or whatever, is it going to be practical for you? You're also going to be receiving support from friends and family around that issue. You could also be somehow in your home or in your home life, perhaps exposed to somebody from a different culture to you, or a different ethnicity, or perhaps somebody foreign or somebody exotic who just has different views on life to yourself, and this is going to be quite a learning curve for you. It could also be that you're being exposed to other ideas, somebody with different ideas is going to be coming to your home, or you're going to be exposed to that in your home life. Or, as I said, it could also be to do with your roots, your foundation. It's the Aquarian influence is kind of bohemian. It's a bit eccentric, so it could indicate some kind of leaning towards that. If you perhaps are feeling that way inclined and you want to change something in your home, perhaps you want a bit more freedom, a bit more self-expression. It could also just be changes in lifestyle. Also with Aquarius, technology comes in. So you may be upgrading the tech in your home or being exposed to that in your home life. Or you could be having somebody in your home who has cutting-edge technological skills, or you're being exposed to that through others in your home life. Then in your fifth house, you have Chiron healing. Fifth house is everything to do with your children or children that you're in contact with. It's also your creativity, and also it's the house of love affairs. It's also the house of having fun, all kinds of recreational activities, sports. There's all kinds of activities where you're actually fun, and you actually having recreation of some kind, where you're actually taking yourself away from your normal daily routine. So now with Chiron healing in there, it is quite a serious element to be having in there. But basically what it's about is addressing an old part of your life which was painful for you. You could be seeing that reflected back to you through your children, or it could be some creative project perhaps, or something that you wanted to do which never quite came out as well as you'd hoped, or you just had some kind of wounding in the past. Or it could have, as I said, even have been to do with a love affair. Or some kind of activity. It could have even have been a sports activity or a club activity or some kind of recreational activity which you somehow, somewhere along the line, perhaps you suffered a bit of either a physical wound, or it could have just been an emotional wound of some sort. So it's about addressing an old part of your life that was painful and healing a wound. It's also wisdom coming from that, so understanding that those deeper issues, or just understanding issues around a wound. Where were you? It could be a wound coming up. It speaks mostly on a sort of emotional as well. So it could have been something's going to remind you about this, and you're going to have to look at it again and just close the door on that. So deal with it and then close the door on it. It could also be a physical, literal thing where you are now exploring medicinal or natural therapies around dealing with something that has sort of bugged you on and off, or it's to do with your children. Perhaps your children are embarking on some kind of activity, and literally a physical wound comes up, and now you're going through the different processes trying to solve it. It could be that. It's also overcoming something to feel better. So now, if this is sort of a creative issue, this, as I said, I've said many times, creativity is different from being artistic. Creativity can be how you speak, how you dress, how you write, how you are with others in public. There's lots of ways that you can be creative. It's not necessarily drawing or using paint. It's about how you put things together for yourself, how you manage your career. You could be really creative about that. But this is dealing with something that you're kind of going to find a salve or some kind of healing for something which was painful for you or is painful for you. And as I said, it could also come up to do with how you're dealing with your children or some aspect of their life that they're grappling with at the moment. It also could be about you sharing an aspect of your life which is relevant for your children to understand. Some aspect of your early years which was painful for you. It could come up like that. But overcoming something to feel better, and medicine or natural therapies feature. Also learning comes in, overcoming old patterns, or perhaps, as I said, if it's something to do with a creative issue, perhaps you just felt perhaps somebody knocked you back, or you had a bit of a negative experience to do with a creative issue, and now it's come up again where somebody's asking you to do this activity again. And you just feel a bit reluctant because, you didn't have that great experience the first time around. Well, you need to overcome that now. If it's to do with the love affair, where all the issues, we're all kind of au fait with that, where it's dealing with some dealing with some issue from the past or something that comes up now, and you can just put it to bed and overcome it. In the sixth house, we have Mars Force. Your sixth house is everything to do with your work projects, your workplace, your work colleagues. It's your daily routines. It's your health and your diet, and it's also the house of pets. It's also the house of self-mastery when it comes to your craft, whatever it is that you want to specialize in or something that you feel you are using in your daily life. So now, this is about taking strong but measured action. Now, I'm emphasizing the word measured because Mars can make you forceful, can make you ruthless, and it can make you aggressive. So it's about measured action. You need to take action. You need to be strong about what you're doing. No nonsense. But it's also don't go overboard because it will backfire on you. So with this coming in, you may be in a work environment where you are needing to defend yourself in some way. To protect what's yours. Perhaps it's your creative work or something that you're working on and someone else is trying to take credit for it, something like that. Or it could just be that you're dealing with a very powerful person in your work environment, and it's causing a challenge for you. Or you may have to compete for something. So possibly this is to do with a work project that you want to, perhaps you're sort of tendering for something, or it brings in that competitive energy, or it could be that something that you need to confront as well. The other side of this is also that a fire has been lit under your passions. So it's about getting started. It's about launching something that you're passionate about, that it's that fiery, passionate energy about something, and it's work-related. It could be starting something. So you could be offered a new position and now you want to move into it, because I do feel work is coming up. It could very well be a new aspect. It could be something from the past, as I said, a work contract even, something coming back to you which didn't reach fruition before. This is about getting things started. This is about really moving on it now quickly. Taking action. It's about ambition as well. You could also be experiencing a lot of pressure in your work environment. Maybe you're just being pushed too hard, or you've got too much on your plate and you feel either you've got to buckle down and go with it, or you're going to change it and move on. When it comes to your health and diet, with all that pressure going on, you could be almost overheating in some way. It could bring about rashes, high blood pressure. You must check your iron levels as well. So it's about that, so managing that. So yeah, just take all that into account in this how it's playing out for you in this house. In your seventh house, a very positive card, you have Sun Spirit. Your seventh house is everything to do with your personal relationships. This is your one-on-one personal relationships, whether it's a love partner or a business partnership, your close personal one-on-one relationships. With the Sun and Spirit in your seventh house, so this is about bringing vitality, your life force into your relationships, your spirited enthusiasm, if I could put it that way. So your personality. So really bringing your whole self into your relationship. You may find that you're in the spotlight in some way. You're being noticed. Something that you're bringing into your relationships is being noticed by others. So, and you may be called upon to lead or to set the pace because of that. It's a very positive, very creative aspect coming in. So creativity is coming in quite a lot, actually. So whether you're finding a partner to work with, or you and your current love partner are working on something, or you're just being really creative about how you're managing your relationship, and you're bringing your full force, your full personality into it. It's a very positive aspect to be having. It might also be that the summer months are important for you and your partner. You could be planning an event or a party, some kind of sort of get together, which is going to be important for you, some kind of celebration. But you've got a lot of influence and charisma at this time. Then in your eighth house, we have Grand Cross, which is the provoker. So your eighth house is is everything to do with the deeper emotional and material resources between you and your love partner or your business partner. It's the joining, the merging of those aspects. It's also other people's money. This is the house of other people's money. It's also the house of big money, your big finance, your investments, your insurance, your taxes, your if inheritance is applicable for you, or your legacy. It's the big money. It's also accounting and banking. It's also the house of it's also the house of sexual passions. It's also the house of power, personal power, and the house of something old falling away and something new coming in. So I'm not quite sure which area this may apply for you, but it just appears to me that you're under pressure all round in this house. You may be feeling a bit you're feeling tension, feeling restricted or frustrated. It's quite an intense energy. Possibly you and your partner want to do certain things, you want to take your, whatever is shared between you to the next level, or you need to consolidate and you need to change the way you're doing things. And it's just taking into account their requirements, your requirements, coming to consensus. Or it could just be that you're under pressure financially with certain things. And you're just not able at this time to find a solution because you're pulled in too many directions. You've got too much going on. It's almost like juggling, you're going to be pulled in different directions. And it's also about communication about what's going on. So the most important thing to remember about this, in the midst of all this tension and whatnot, is to get organized, number one, and also to focus on your top priorities. You may have a lot of priorities right now, but you need to focus on the most important ones, one or two, and deal with those, and then move on to the next lot. Because you just may feel like you're overwhelmed. You're just overwhelmed, too much going on. But really, it's about getting organized and focus. You're going to have to work together to find solutions. Even though it may feel difficult now, you will come right. You will get there in the end. This is a big catalyst for movement and for change. So it could be just a case of coming to a consensus between you and the other person, or you in a sort of an association where you're dealing with other people's money. Could be to do with that. Perhaps there's changes going on, there's pressure in the economy, something. Or it could just be you and your partner trying to work out best long-term aspects for your money, how you're going to handle it, how you're going to invest, what you're going to invest in. Or it could just be, like I said, some kind of financial pressure is sitting on you at this time. Then in the ninth house, we have earth element, which is stability. So the ninth house is everything to do with long distance travel, adventure, exploration. It's everything to do with a sort of exposure to foreign things, whether you're going online and dealing with people around the world or in other countries, or just import, export, something like that. But it's always overseas, people overseas, or things overseas, or cultures overseas. It's also about teaching. It's the house of teaching. It's the house of religion. It's the house of your belief systems, philosophy. It's the house of law, and it's the house of publishing, public relations, and also the house of in-laws, if you're dealing with that. It's further education and study as well. So you may be looking at, this is not school, this is university and adult education. So perhaps you're thinking about something. But with this coming in, it does bring in a very good, strong growth element to whatever area of those ones I've mentioned is affecting you currently, or something you want to do. It's about being practical, using your wisdom, getting organized again, that came up before, and being methodical, organized and methodical about what you want to do. So even if this is just about planning a trip somewhere, long distance, you're going to have to sit down and actually work it out and be practical about it step by step. And if you're having to take somebody else's opinions into account, just avoid being stubborn. because with the earth element that can come in. Don't be afraid to try something new. Let go of fears and hanging on to old ideas or hanging on to things which are going to sort of impede your progress, that are going to bog you down. So try something new. Let go of your fears. It could also be a materialistic aspect coming in. So yeah, it depends on how you're applying this. But it could be a form of study which you want to try, or you want to look at. But you may just be needing to try a few different things, or look at things from a different angle. Try something new. It could also be following earthy interests of some sort, and it could also be just going on trips where you need to get in nature. It's going to be important for you that, and that will be very beneficial for you, because this is all about nature, earth. Yeah, I think just, take your time, because this is a slow element. But yeah, you're just going to have to be practical and apply a bit of wisdom to whatever it is that you're actually planning in any one of those areas. Then in the 10th house, we have Sagittarius IC. So 10th house is everything to do with career, your personal status, your status, public status, your reputation, your fame. It's also authority figures. So you could have a very positive authority figure which is helping you now. Somebody that is Sagittarian in their qualities could be quite a big person, quite a sort of happy, outgoing person. Then you've got, it could also be that you're being called upon to bring these qualities into your workplace or your career. But it's about also avoiding routine if you can, because the Sagittarians don't like routine. They get very restless in 9-to-5 type situations. So you may just be feeling really restless at this time. Perhaps you are under too much pressure in your work environment, and it's putting you in a difficult spot, and you're feeling like you need to change something. This is indicated here. So it's about seeing, it's about vision, it's about being honest with yourself, being honest with what you're going through right now and what you want for yourself, what you're visioning for yourself. It's also about adventure. So possibly either you're experiencing adventure in your career and loving it, or you may need to bring more of that in to your career. It's also be careful about what you say, how you say it, because Sagittarians just speak their mind, and sometimes it offends people. It can be brutally honest. So just think, as I said, be measured in your actions, be measured about what you say, be mindful of others. It could also be about taking a risk. Perhaps you're being given an opportunity now to change your career path or work that you're doing. It's a bit of a gamble, and it might just be the very thing that you need to do, or something could come up and you need to grasp it quickly and move forward. This is about big skies and freedom, adventure. It's freedom from routine. You may be dreaming of that. Sagittarius also, horses are closely associated with this sign. So if you're in the horsey natural world, you may be sort of getting involved on that as a career path, or something to do with that. It's also about luck coming in for you. And I feel that's indicated elsewhere in your chart as well. You could also be wanting to study a bit further on a more serious note. You could be looking at religion, you could be looking at philosophy, or you could be looking at just deeper beliefs and just doing your own research or taking a serious form of study. Sagittarius also rules, teaching in some way. So you're either being taught or you may be asked to teach. And also just be careful with details of things. Don't overlook the details, and be careful with your finances and whatever it is that you want to undertake. But it's about expanding your current vision of what you're doing at the moment. Then in the 11th house, we have Taurus. The 11th house is everything to do with your friends, your networks, your clubs, your associations, any kind of groups that you're a member of. It can be a Facebook group. This is also to do with your personal hopes and dreams, your personal wishes. The arts are coming up again. They came up before as well. So your artistic side, you may be harnessing that and joining groups or getting involved with others who will bring that out for you. It could be something to do with a friend. You could have a Taurian type friend, doesn't have to be Taurus, but somebody who's projecting like a Taurus, that is really grounding and stable for you. Or you could be playing that role for a friend. But it's also about growth. This is about growth in any one of those areas. It's also about indulgence and luxury. It's about finding comfort, pleasure, and nurturing. So you may be getting all of those things from your friends, or you're providing it for your friends, or you could just meet somebody who's a new friend who's embodying all of those aspects. Or you could be bringing that into your networks and your groups and your association, your clubs, whatever you're part of. And it could be from an artistic point of view as well. But there's growth there. And it's about planting seeds. It's money related. This somehow money is coming in there, or currency. Perhaps you're going online and you sort of exhibiting or selling creative items that you have, or something that you wanted, to get income for. But the arts is quite strongly indicated here. That's poetry, dance, music, all of those things. And materialism does come in as well, because Taurus is a very earthy sign. They like to have, secure finances and something put away for a rainy day. But it's also stability. So you could just be feeling really stable amongst your current friendship circle. In the 12th house, we have water element, which is sensing. So the 12th house is everything to do with it's the house of escapism. So addictions and drugs and things like that can come in there. But it's also the house of withdrawal and retreat. And it's where you go to just find yourself again. It's also about your spiritual life. If that's indicated for you, meditation, healing, mysticism, all of those things. It's also the house of karmic inheritance. It's also the house of your sort of in experiences in institutions of all kinds, whether that's a hospital or a bank or a government department or a university library or a university, something like that. It's about your experiences there. So now with the water element sensing coming in, what it's asking you to do is just let matters flow for now. You may, because of other activities going on, you may just feel every now and again, not permanently, but certain times you need to just retreat and rest. And don't be afraid of those periods of pause, because what it is actually it gives you an opportunity to harness your resources, to gather your resources around you in preparation for action, for movement, or whatever it is that you're going to be doing. But it's that period of pause, of quietness beforehand, where you need to gather what you need, even if it's just to harness your own inner strength or your own inner knowing. Because this is, don't forget, this is unconscious beliefs as well, your deep unconscious self. It's about harnessing everything about yourself so that when you are required to launch yourself, you've got everything in place. It's about understanding. It's about going with the flow. You've got to keep your hand on the wheel though, but just go with the flow for now. Go with the current. Trust your feelings and gather your resources for movement later. It's also about having compassion and understanding, whether this is to do with others. Perhaps you're going to a hospital with somebody that you know, or you may have to make a visit somewhere to an institution of some kind, even if it's a university. It's something to do with that, but it's also about harnessing your compassion and your understanding. Just don't allow yourself to be absorbed into other people's issues. You will still need to have boundaries, but you can still be compassionate and empathetic. You may just feel that in between everything that's going on, your energy levels are a bit low. You need to rest, you need to retreat, and just avoid drama of any kind. Let things sort themselves out. You just go with the current, but stay quiet for now, in between action periods. Okay, Cancer. I hope you have a wonderful month, and I will see you again soon. Take care.